Starting to the top right of Gongali Beach. Down the map already.
MVP DongRaeGu.
YugiOh has made the 10th drone. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a 10 pull. Just wanted to point that out.
Starting to the bottom left with the Overlord on 10, the Root Gaming player.
Root Gaming YugiOh.
And yeah, even though I couldn't contain myself to say it there, he does just go for the 10 Overlord like you said. And
well, we've seen a lot of 10 pulls. You can go for 10 pool, 10 gas, and 2 banelings in this matchup. And Gongali Beach is one of those maps where a lot of players will gamble a little bit more because it's a bit more of a weird map. It's has a lot of attention to detail.
Yeah.
But for a professional map, a lot of the players always in the lobby are just saying like, okay, what exactly is the deal with this map? I don't like it too much. So you could see some players just rolling the dice here and trying to end it early.
I mean, especially because YugiOh is up a game in the series, I would not have been surprised to see a 10 pull banning all in, because the rush distance on this map as well is not too far.
And actually, right now, YugiOh winning the mind battle here. He goes into the hatch first, and DRG goes into a 14 pull because he wasn't too sure what's going on in this map. So definitely the better start here for YugiOh, just by a small margin, of course, but everything counts.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There comes the hatchery, of course, for DRG, very much behind. And YugiOh even goes for gas before pull. He is getting all the advantages here on this. Yeah.
He gambles a little bit with the opening. With this opening, of course, if you're up against an early pool, then you are in a lot of trouble. You might still be able to hold, but usually you struggle a lot, especially against an experienced player. DRG falling off a little bit here, falling behind because he played it a bit more safe. It's not going to put him too far behind, but still, with YugiOh playing it overly greedy and even getting the gas before he starts into the pool, he gets a decent lead in economy early on.
This is one of those things where DRG's Overlord arrives at YugiOh's base. He's just going to have a sigh of frustration as he realizes that, okay. You know, it's a smart choice by DRG. I feel if I were in his situation, doing the same thing, being down a game in a series on a 2-player map, playing it safe seems like a good option.
No, it's definitely right. I mean, both players have the opportunity to scout their opponent's base before the queen's out. Double queen is now on the production tab for YugiOh. And actually, we have DRG now with queen number 2. Yeah. Just started, and he's also getting his own gas, but YugiOh already has 100 gas and goes into the speed for the links this time. Does not start anything with roaches.
Yeah, super fast speed compared to DRG. I mean, his speed is already about a tenth of the way done as DRG's gas finishes.
It's also one of those maps where it's a little bit harder to wall off your own natural. We could see earlier in the game number 1 how DRG was able with just 2 or 3 buildings to completely wall off at the front. And that helps you if you're up against the aggressive link strategy and if you try to go into the roaches instead. But on the map where you can't really do that, you usually have to get your speed out, and you also want to have that baneliness just in case your opponent is playing it aggressive. So I would be a little bit surprised to not see a baneliness for those 2 players.
Yeah, I completely agree here. They both kind of have to do it at this point in time, especially DRG. He wants to wait for speed first. It looks like YugiOh banking a lot of gas here. And looks like he's going to do a similar opening. Oh, DRG goes for a fast lair here.
Goes into the very fast lair, and I am very interested to see how exactly he's going to play this. He's starting with the wall at the front once again and goes into the Roach Warren. So it's very much the same opening that he used in game number 1. And on a map like this, I'm not quite sure about that. I'm really interested to see what YugiOh is going to do as soon as he scouts this. He has an Overlord close by, but he doesn't really know about it. The Queens, of course, now have to block for DRG. That is crucial if you go for such a build. You are losing a lot of time before you have the units out, so you need to have a tight wall so that your opponent can't go through. And he even builds another evolution chamber now that he sees what's happening, puts all 3 queens there for transfuse, and now YugiOh knows exactly what's going on here.
Yeah, he's just going to poke a little bit here. All the evolution chambers he had to make and the lost queen time is going to affect DRG a little bit negatively. YugiOh, though, on the other hand, lost some drones from making those lings. Both layers finishing around the same time, DRG getting a little bit of an advantage here. And there's the +1 coming down for DRG. He already added his Roach Warren, so no Mutilus play from him.
And the thing is that YugiOh does not add the Roach Warren.
Yeah.
So we could actually see him with the Spire, and there it is. Goes into the Spire tech instead. He already realized that he's very far behind when it comes to the timing for the Roaches. Doesn't really kill him. He could have tried to catch up here, because if you DRG is attacking. He has to cross the map first. That gives YugiOh the time to get even in the roach count. But he just looks at this and is like, okay, well, you know what? I think I can actually go safely into Mutalisk if I throw down a couple of Spine Crawlers. If I make sure that I scout with my Overseer and with my Zerglings here, I will see what's happening. And he also goes into the Baneling nest now.
Yeah.
So a little bit later than expected, but at the time where he scouted what was going on DRG's base, he already had no chance to roll in with the Banelings anymore because DRG was not afraid to fully wall.
Oh, DRG was a bit of a misclick here. I don't think he's in, well, I don't think he would have wanted to attack that while the Lings were there. Now he chases them away with the Queens, yeah. But regardless, he's going to be able to take this third base. But that's why YugiOh is making more Lings now. He wants to make sure he can keep the pressure on, and a good scout here for DRG.
Really good scout. Snipe on the Queens, though. One Queen goes down. And the +1 attack upgrade not done just yet, so still 3 shots needed by DRG's Roaches to take down one of the Zerglings of YugiOh.
Yeah, the Lings just trying to deny this base as long as possible. We'll get another Queen here. And the Rocks, as long as they're not dead, then he can't actually make the hatchery.
But, you know, I would actually like him to start with a Spore Crawler here.
Oh,
because he has the creep spread already. The Lings get into the main base, but they won't achieve anything but scout. The question really being, where are those Spore Crawlers? We need them, and if he tries to take that third base, he needs to throw down Spore Crawlers, and he needs to throw them down fast.
Yeah, he needs to get an Overlord spreading creep over there. Well, actually, he has a Tumor connecting just now.
That's exactly the reason why I was a little bit surprised. There comes the first Spore Crawler, but very late, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it looks like he wanted to wait until the last second here while he pressures with these Roaches, but he's going to trade a lot of his supply here in order to be safe on the economy.
That's one of the things that he can do, though. Like, the Roaches have armor, and the Mutalisks take quite some time to take them out, so that's how he's able to get his third safe up, and this is exactly what he intended to do. So it's a small price that he pays here, but he needs to make sure that he gets away with the rest of the Roaches, because if he sticks around for too long, he's going to lose a fair amount of them.
Yeah, and I like this choice by DRG. There's more Mutas coming out on the map, and he's pulled most of his Overlords back. It looks like only 2 of them still back out on the map. This base, I don't think he can actually kill it. There's no way.
If he takes down the Spore Crawler, he could, but with all the Roaches streaming in, the Zerglings won't do too much.
Yeah, good defense here. YugiOh may try to do some harassment in the main base. There's Hydras on the way.
There's a Spore Crawler, and you can see it. He's going to 3-hit one of those Mutalisks. One of the Mutalisks goes down. Oh, just barely survives. I would have liked him to not take down the Roaches, but to try to kill the Spore Crawler, because if he takes the Spore Crawler down at the third, with all the Overlords that are positioned there, he could have taken down all of them. And that would have helped him so much.
I love this control we're seeing here. He also goes in here to try to snipe some of the Hydras, and he's maybe going to get a Queen, and he's doing damage to that hatchery still at the third base, while his own third is nearly completed.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of damage at that, and the Hydra with a nice dance here, DRG keeping close to the Spore Crawler, but a lot of hit points already taken out at the hatch, and of course all those Hydralisks that he just lost, that helps.
Baneling speed in ZVZ, getting it ready for those Hydralisks. This is such an interesting match we're watching right now. He's going to just continue to try to pick away at that hatchery. A few drones starting to mine here for DRG, but he hasn't really gotten full saturation. A bit of a mistake with his Overlords there, as highlighted. This Queen getting a little ahead of herself.
The third base is now also done for YugiOh, and in regards to supply, we still have a bit of a lead here for DRG, and he's playing a very solid defensive game against YugiOh. He knows that he has the earlier third base, that his economy is better, and that he has a very good composition, and also the upgrades are in his favor. But what he really has to do is to make sure that in the battle later on, his Hydralisks are positioned very well, because if those Banelings get close enough to the Hydralisk, then suddenly the anti-air is gone.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if DRG is going to expect this. He doesn't have any scout. He sends one Ling in right now, and it is denied, so he doesn't actually see what's coming. If he had seen all the Lings, he would know.
The one advantage that YugiOh has, of course, is that currently he has the map control. There's not a lot that DongRaeGu can do. He can try to walk across the map. But let's have a little bit of a look at the supply numbers, or at the unit numbers. 13 Roaches and 15 Hydralisks. So caught on the map, the Roaches have to shield for the Hydralisks.
Yeah, very true. He absolutely needs those Roaches out. He started a few more. In total right now he has 13.
And here come the Banelings.
Yeah, and he's got a lot of Lings to support them. This is going to be a surprise to DRG. He has not seen this at all.
He's going for the Infestation Pit. He would have loved a Fungal against those Banelings, but he doesn't have it just yet. So with the Mutalisks leading the charge, the Hydralisks might be able to bait them out a little bit, and that's exactly what he goes for. But look how well DRG currently positions his units. Here come those Banelings, and they go in from behind, and that's exactly what YugiOh wants.
Oh, wow. Wow, a good split here though, at least initially.
Yeah, a decent split initially, but there are not too many Hydralisks left, and the Zerglings move in immediately, whereas the Mutalisks are going in, taking down Roach after Roach.
Not only the Roaches, but the Hatchery getting very low here. DRG losing a ton of his supply. Roach is all gone. Third is gone. The third base is up and running for YugiOh. He starts 12 drones and 6 more mutas, and DRG kind of looks like a sitting duck here.
Yeah, DRG is in a lot of trouble. He was baited to the bottom by YugiOh, and then those Banelings come in from behind. An initial split from DRG prevented the worst, but he also lost a lot of Hydralisk, and that gave YugiOh the opportunity to move in with the air units and do damage.
He's going to go right for the Spore Crawler here. Does do a lot of damage, takes out a muta, but there's nothing really left here to defend. He's only got a few Hydras. It's going to take him a while to rebuild those, and only 2 Hydras. He's going to lose those so fast. He needs the rest of his army together.
We have now the first Infestors being built, and with the Infestors it's going to become a bit of a different game, since one Fungal and the Hydras moving in could take down the Mutalisk force. But those Hydralisks, they are very low in numbers at this point. So this is this dance that DongRaeGu has to play right now, where he is just trying to keep those Mutalisks at bay, but YugiOh is sniping one after another.
Yep, another Spore Crawler being targeted here, and YugiOh is really just out multitasking DRG here. He's pulling away, taking out a Hydra here or there, trying to get this hatchery, takes out the Spore. Now the Mutas can go right for the hatch, force the Hydras back out again.
He forced the Hydralisks in the main base. Now he's at the third, taking down that Spore Crawler with the Zerglings, and he can move in with the Mutalisks as long as he avoids those Infestors, which is a little bit tricky at this point, but he's already preparing his next move. He's going into a Roach Warren. He has the +1 attack upgrade on the production tab, and he is still on 3 mining bases, so his economy is great here, and that allows him to get the tech out and the upgrades.
Because he does have to catch up in the upgrades. DRG right now already has Hydra, Speed, he has +2, he has the range upgrade, he has the Pathogen Glance, he has the Infestors out, so a big mountain to climb as far as catching up in tech for YugiOh right now.
It's just a matter of time for him, because as we can see on screen here, the income is just so much better, and that already includes the now newly saturated third base. The pool is very much exposed, and he can take that out, or at least damage a bit. He's of course afraid of the Infestors, and as long as he keeps those far away from the Mutalisks, he's going to be fine. He just wants to pin down DRG to the top right, while he buys himself the time that he needs to get the upgrades out. And just look at the Roach production here, 20 at a time.
He's really starting to pull ahead because of that economy. I mean, he's up 30 supply as well, has total map control, and you know, YugiOh could almost even take a 4th base right now. Here comes a Baneling attempt. Oh, this could do critical damage, and here we go.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Moves in. And these are just those things that can take down DRG, because DongRaeGu has to defend so many different positions. This is the beauty when you play with Mutalisks. You have another attack path that you can take. You can always just fly into the main base, and you're not just forced onto the ground defense.
Yep. He's going to finish this Spore Crawler. Even while he attacks the Spore, the drones are dying from bounce damage. Of course, with the transfuses, he can't stick around too long. But he's just keeping DRG on his toes in his base. DR Joe, man, that's like...
Forget about G.I. Joe, guys. This is DR Joe.
DR Joe coming to a theater near you.
Yeah, that's the next level. Yeah, the thing here is really you could see the entire army of DongRaeGu just bouncing between the main base and the third base the entire time. And now that we have the Roaches out, Roach Speed, by the way, not done, so he kind of has to fight here, and he does it. He moves in with those Hydralisks.
And here come the Banelings, a good fumble there. If he had missed that, this could have been tragic. The Muta's coming from behind. He needs to split those against the Infestors. One Infestor gets picked off, a second one is picked up as well. Where are the fungals on the Mutalisks?
He tries to pin everything else down. Here comes one fungal, but the splits for YugiOh are not too shabby, and this was actually a really great fight by YugiOh. 200 supply for him, and the bank against DRG's 160. Things are looking very good for YugiOh in game number 2.
YugiOh is just wiping the floor with DRG in this game. He's got every single advantage he's got. He's just basically keeping DRG back all the time, even though DRG had the stronger army, arguably. He has the better upgrades. He couldn't handle YugiOh in that fight. YugiOh just picked off his Infestors one by one. He got barely any fungals at all, even though he had so many full energy Infestors.
DRG is desperate right now. He wants to end the game now. Oh my god, I can't believe that he actually... Well, he moves back, but the problem for him really being, if he always plays Yu-Gi-Oh's game, he's going to lose it in the long run, I feel.
Absolutely. He's still down on Harvesters right now.
The only advantage that DongRaeGu has are his upgrades, and given time, that's an advantage that he is going to lose. YugiOh is already on his way into +2 attack. He's getting his own infestation pit now. So this is a huge, huge problem. Roach is once more trying to aim for the natural this time. Actually heading into the main base here.
Goes into the main base, sending more Roaches over here to attack the third with these armies coming down to the south. And DRG is getting picked apart here.
Finally, DRG starting to split his army. That is something that he didn't do in the entirety of the game. He always walked with his entire army either into the main base or to the third, but now he starts to split, and that helps him a lot. But the bank that we see here for YugiOh is going to come into play as soon as we have the infestation pit in the game. And don't forget about those upgrades. The +2 attack upgrade is halfway done. The roaches are going to make up a lot of the supply. I'm actually a little bit surprised that he gets this many roaches and zerglings here. I thought that he would get at least a few infestors.
I think he's just concerned that that DRG is going to attack him really, really fast before his infestors will even have the energy. He doesn't start pathogen glands yet.
Ooh, we are going to see locusts here.
Okay, I like this.
This is actually pretty sick. I like this quite a lot. I would have expected him to go into the infestors and play, like, fight fire with fire, but he's going into swarm host, and that is becoming so sexy here. The +2 attack upgrade works, of course, very well with the locusts too, not only good for roaches and hydras.
Yeah. He comes in here, he's taking a bit of a chance here with all those infestors nearby. Gets an overlord. Just trying to occupy DRG right now. He's going to go now into the natural.
He can afford this. Look at this bank that we have. It is so huge, and this is exactly what he wants to do here. He's
taking out the extractor.
Exactly, he's limiting the gas, and that is very important. He's even getting the armor upgrades now, and that will give him an edge over DRG as it is. But those swarm hosts, they're going to be so great later on, and look at all those overlords completely exposed.
DRG is going for a big attack. This is something that YugiOh has prepared for at home with spine crawlers. A lot of his army is out of position right now, though.
Yeah, 4th base here has also been taken out, and YugiOh is going for the base trade. He knows that he has the first swarm host in the game that's going to help him with the defense at the bottom. He's taking out a lot of the infestors at the top right. DRG is trying to defend as much as he can, but YugiOh has so many spines and swarm hosts at the bottom left, and the top right is falling against the army of the Root Gaming Zerg.
Yeah. Basically, YugiOh is going to remax here. DRG trying to break up the ramp. There's spines there coming in, though. And YugiOh has the better mobility with his Mutalisk. 32 roaches about to pop. DRG turns around. If you turn around, that's basically saying I surrender in a situation like this. If he turns all the way around, by the time he gets back, the Mutas are just going to kill all of his drones and fly away.
The Mutalists are going to focus down on the Overlords now, and the drones can take down the third base without a problem. YugiOh has to rebuild, apparently, his infestation pit. I didn't see that going down, but he cannot get additional swarm hosts. He only has 2. For some reason, DRG even left his 4th base alive, and that's something that I personally cannot understand.
DRG is panicking here, I think.
DRG could have just focused that down or left 1 or 2 units there to finish things off, but as it is, YugiOh didn't lose anything vital at the bottom left except for a few tech structures, but his economy is intact, and now DRG is moving in with what he has and is trying to finish the job.
Yeah, he will take out both of these hatcheries, in fact, but at what cost is the question? The army moving across for YugiOh here is so strong, and he's traded a lot to do this. He's even losing more of his roaches. I don't think DRG is going to be able to hold this next wave with +1 armor finishing up here. He has the upgrade advantage 2-1 versus just +2.
He's already losing too much on the retreat, and YugiOh is not overextending himself here. He's playing a very smart game. As soon as he sees the rest of the army of DongRaeGu approach, he immediately moves back. He doesn't want to run into a fungal here. He has still a 30 supply lead, and he is also the player who goes straight into an additional base. We have, on the other hand, for him, not a lot of income at this point, whereas DongRaeGu still has his 3rd base up that is mining. So YugiOh still with the advantage, but he has to be a little bit careful here.
Yeah, he cannot afford to get his army fungled or his Mutalisk fungled. He needs these.
Exactly. 1 bad engagement, and it's on a swing in DRG's
This
favor.
could be it? Oh! 1 Muta alone gets fungled there. That was so scary for him. And, you know, as long as he can control those units, he should have a decent chance of taking this game. But, like you said, 1 mistake, and it all ends. And here we go. The Mutas, are they paying attention? They do. Oh! He has the Overseer.
Oh,
too late.
He didn't see it. Okay. Overseer is a little bit too late here. But yeah, this is now the time where DongRaeGu has a chance coming back into the game. YugiOh had to restart his upgrade for the Locust. Oh, nice. Takes it out. No fungal, and the trap with those infestors. That was a little bit sloppy by DRG.
Oh, absolutely.
It was a great idea for him to set it up in the first place, but then he was too slow with it. I'm not quite sure if he forgot to hotkey those infestors individually, if that's why it took him so long to get there. But with a really fast movement, he could have just fungled, and then the entire air army would have been gone.
That was definitely the idea. DRG is forced back again. He is literally the tennis ball that YugiOh is playing on, and it's his court on Guangali Beach.
Yeah, but the problem really is that DRG, with the mining that he has, can now go into... Well, he can close the gap, and he's actually a tiny little bit ahead in supply. YugiOh just finished those extra bases and now he can start to mine again. Has to focus on the minerals here because gas is not an issue for him.
Yep.
But still, this is actually the ticket for DRG to get back into the game.
He needs to secure the 4th. That's the most important part for him because YugiOh has that base above him right now.
And here come Infestors instead of instead of Swarm Hosts like earlier. That, to me, actually, like seeing that on the production tab doesn't make too much sense. If you want to go into the Infestor tech, you need the Pathogen Glance upgrade, and I don't think that he has it. If you could double check.
He does not have it.
Okay, so there it comes. Okay, Pathogen Glance very late, considering that he goes into 10, 11, 12 Infestors here. Doesn't get any Swarm Hosts. Earlier on, the idea was probably to just use it because he simply had fireworks here, pretty nice. But
yeah, I actually thought that he was going to make like 4 Infestors and then go into Swarm Hosts, but then when he started that many, it just doesn't make sense
right
anymore.
Now it's a matter of income, and earlier when he decided to go into Swarm Hosts, he was still bases ahead of DRG, and then things turned a little bit. So DongRaeGu has actually, he's in tech, he's definitely behind. But in overall army size, he is in a position where he could come back. He's down 1 armor upgrade, he's down the upgrades for the Mutalisks and for the Locusts, but still, this is a battle that he could win with 1 good fight.
Yeah, the one thing DRG also has in this situation is 16 Hydras. No Hydras, none whatsoever for YugiOh. Is trying to bait out some fungals and successfully baits a few. There are also 12 Infestors for YugiOh versus 7 of DRG. So he has a few things over DRG, but DRG does have those Hydras. We're going to do a lot of damage from the background when the fungals start to go off. The Infested Terrans, of course, from those extra ones could play a part, but oh, these are huge catches from DRG.
Yeah, that was really important here. That was very, very well done. And YugiOh, as we said earlier, he has to be a little bit careful here. A few wrong moves and he could lose this game, even though he was so far ahead early on.
He's out here with no Infestors. That's a bit of a concern, especially with this fungal. And this may be the end of the game for YugiOh here. I think it may very well be.
He's going to lose all of his Mutalisks. There's just no doubt about it anymore. And suddenly DRG is miles ahead. And this is the danger that we talked about the entire time. If you have the Mutalisks on the map, they are a great tool, a great weapon. But once you get chain fungal, it all can be over in a flash. And this is exactly what YugiOh is trying to avoid here now with his defense.
He's got so many Spinecrawlers set up, so DRG probably will not be able to end the game here, but can he trade well? He doesn't want to overextend himself here. In fact, against all these Spinecrawlers.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit tricky. Don't forget that we have an additional armor upgrade for YugiOh. He's going to the +2 armor, but that's not going to finish for this battle. So many Infestors, and they're going straight for the Infested Terrans. Most of the Spinecrawlers are already gone. The base is taken out, but now the Hydras have to move back. It's just too much. But in overall supply, still a very even game.
Yeah, I feel like YugiOh should have tried to put those Infested Terrans out a little bit earlier. He put them out so late that by the time the eggs hatched, DongRaeGu had already killed his hatch and walked away. So many of his Hydras are very low on hit points here, so he didn't quite finish those off. They are going to regenerate their hit points over time, and now DRG with a better economy.
Yeah, DRG is now on 2 mining bases, YugiOh is on only 1. We have, on the other hand, the +2 armor upgrade finishing for YugiOh, which will give him a significant lead in the upgrades. And the problem for him really being is that with the compositions that we move into now, we have no Hydralisks for YugiOh, we have a lot more Infestors for him, and this means not only fungals, but this also means Infested Terrans, and they don't benefit from those additional upgrades. Yeah. And that is becoming an issue.
Exactly. He also wasted a ton of energy with those Infested Terrans in the last fight, so many of his Infestors low on energy.
He kind of had to. He wanted to save the space, but it was just a bit too exposed. Most of the Spinecrawlers were to the left. And don't forget, yes, DRG didn't trade cost efficiently regarding the army supply in the last battle, but he took down the entire Spinecrawler level. So without the Spinecrawlers gone, the defense of YugiOh is very weak now compared to what we had earlier for the root gaming zone.
That's very true. The upgrade he has is really his finest advantage. By having that +2 Carapace. He's trying to go for some run-bys here and keep DRG distracted while he goes in for the 3rd. And this could work. If he drops enough Infested Terrans here, well, he actually only sends Roaches, could still work. He's going to go for it, but he cannot get fungled here.
And there comes the fungal, he moves in with those. Yeah, and there is the Overseer at the top. We have the Roaches moving in, but this starts to look a little bit shaky. DRG actually with a great comeback here. I wouldn't have thought it possible considering how well YugiOh played in the early stages of the game. But then 2 crucial mistakes by YugiOh cost him the game.
Yeah.
Or might cost him the game. We're not that just yet. He's still on even supply. So if DRG makes another mistake now and has a bit of a sloppy army control, he might actually fall behind again.
Yeah, long story short, the game is still very close.
Yeah, back and forth.
And YugiOh is kind of just, he's used this unconventional style, and DRG has just played as straight up as can be for most of the game. And now finally YugiOh is kind of meeting him in the middle here, adding his Hydralist in. He's finally kind of completed that tech tree that allows him to play a straight up Roach Hydra Infestor composition. But DRG still has not started his Carapace. He's just really struggling to have the income to invest just into that very expensive Carapace upgrade, and that may come to hurt him in the long run.
Yeah, especially since YugiOh is now going into a Hydra Den on his own. He of course needs the Hydraless upgrades first, but he has so many Roaches. And don't forget, with all of those Infestors that we have for YugiOh, if he gets close enough to the Hydralist to place a good fungal on that army, a lot of those hit points will be gone in a flash, and then he is going to struggle very much against those heavily upgraded Roaches.
Yep. Looks like DRG wants to start to push here with his Hydralist count. 10 Hydras on the way for YugiOh. He's trying to get the better position here. He needs to split his Infestors. He doesn't really have that Spinecrawler wall anymore. Like you mentioned, the Infestors on the right side leading the charge for DRG. He wants to go ahead and take this hatchery out. Should be able to get it, but can YugiOh capitalize on this? Here we go!
He's moving in from every angle, and here come the first Fungals, hitting a couple of those Hydralists and Roaches, immediately trying to take down the rest of DRG's army, and DRG, with a lot of his own Infestors at the front, immediately being taken out. And look at those, all those volleyballs coming into play, and it looks like DRG is struggling here. YugiOh taking his supply lead and forcing the MVP Zerg player back immediately.
A much better control here for YugiOh. A lot of it came down to the defender's advantage, and like you said, DRG sent too many Infestors up to the front. A huge mistake. That was a great fungal. That may hold him off a little bit longer, but it's still, the attack is on, the chase is on here.
Top 3 control right there.
Absolutely.
Another thing that comes into play right now is the third base is mining out for DRG. He had that up for so long, and now suddenly YugiOh is on 2 mining bases. DRG only has that 4th, and everything else is mined out. So YugiOh is once again in a decent position. He has a 30 supply lead. YugiOh with the last battle might just have won this game.
Yeah, he very well may have. He's taken out so many of the Roaches here. The Infestors burrowed, they are safe. The Overseer is coming in now, but it's too late. All of DRG's units are dead. He drops down to half of YugiOh's supply. GG!
Game over. YugiOh with the 2-0 takes it for Root Gaming. The king of Code A advances to the 3rd round of the Challenger League.
Yep. Gives a wave.
And you know, we've seen the power of these upgrades. At the beginning, I mentioned how his Roach count was a little bit lower, how those upgrades didn't really come into play if DRG would have fought immediately. But DRG waited a long time. He played the safer game. He didn't know if he would be able to break through the Spinecrawlers. And that gave YugiOh the time that he needed to get his own army really up, the numbers in Roaches. And then these upgrades with a +2 armor against 0 armor upgrades are, of course, giving you such a head start against your opponent that you're in a great position.
YugiOh just playing the much better games by far in this series. A very well-deserved win. And DRG still has a chance at getting back into Code S. He has to go through that very, very difficult up and down group, though.
Yep. I feel one of those turning points in the game was definitely when all of the Mutalisks were taken out, and that was when YugiOh looked at the game and was like, that is going to get a little bit...
His Spinecrawler wall was really what saved him there.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that he set up early on that also saved him against the counter-aggression of DRG a little bit earlier in the game. But as it is, it was a bit of a shakier match than YugiOh probably expected after that great start in the second map. But now we have him with a 2-0 victory over DongRaeGu and advancing to the 3rd round of the Challenger League.
Yeah. So we have 3 best-of-3s left tonight, and they're coming up very soon.
Exactly. The next one is going to be a Pros versus Terran. If I'm not mistaken, it's GOMTV versus a Pig Baby. We'll be back after a 5-minute break with the second best-of-3 of the night, so see you guys in a few.